Miss PattyCake.
Hi there, friends! I'm so glad you came to see Miss PattyCake today. Here we are at my house, and guess what? You know, it's story time. I have a story for you today called Cozy the Lamb, written by Mary Ellen Tippin. It's a beautiful story. I can't wait to read it with you. Are you ready? Okay, let's begin. Hop, hop, skip, skip, hop and skip, skip and hop. There was nothing the little lamb loved more than to hop and skip, rock to rock, flower to flower, here to there. What a playful lamb tiny Cozy was. I think that's a sweet name for a lamb, Cozy. Let's see. The shepherd had named the lamb Cozy on the day she was born, for she appeared so warm and cuddly in her soft gray wool coat. Even though the flock was quite large with so many sheep in it that you and I wouldn't be able to tell one from another, the shepherd knew each one by name. Cozy, Lambkin, Fuzzle. Time to lie down for a lammy nap. Do you sometimes take a nap? Do you take a lammy nap? Is it cozy sometimes? I like how soft and cozy this lamb looks in the picture. Let's see. Turn the page. There he is eating some grass. Now the shepherd was the most important person in Cozy's life. The wise and good shepherd would lead the sheep to fields of lush green grass and fresh, tender plants. Now, that may not sound so tasty to you, but to a sheep, it's like eating creamy ice cream and gooey chocolate cupcakes. Yum, yum. Does that sound good to you? Chocolate cupcakes. The shepherd also knew where the coldest, clearest water could be found. It made Cozy sneeze silly sneezes when she became greedy and stuck her nose into the water. A little too far, she went, ba-choo, ba-choo. Can you do that? Go ahead, ba-choo, in the water. Can you see Cozy sneezing on the page? Right by the water? Being a little lamb was great fun. There were so many places to explore and friends to make. Each day was a gigantic adventure. There were some lessons to be learned, too, about scary stuff like wolves and mountain lions and crevices. Now, a crevice is a big crack in the rock, and a lamb might fall into and hurt himself very badly. Oh my goodness, we don't want that to happen. No, no, no. So you would certainly think, with such a wise, kind, and loving shepherd caring for them and protecting them, that the sheep would always be obedient and follow the shepherd closely and carefully. Oh, that's a very good idea, to pay attention and follow the shepherd closely and carefully so you don't get hurt or get into any trouble, right? So, I will tell you something that is hard to believe. Sheep are so foolish that often they want to go their own way until they learn to follow the shepherd. And I'm sorry to say, Cozy was no different. Just listen to what happened to this naughty little lamb. Let's turn the page and see. Hop, hop, skip, skip, hop and skip, skip and hop, 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 hop. Do you like to hop and skip sometimes? Maybe you're really like a lamb. Cozy was having a grand time. The cool spring morning filled Cozy with curiosity and with mischief. Even though the shepherd kept calling her back to his side, Cozy wanted to explore on her own, away from the other grazing sheep. She was sure Just over the next hill, she would find the most delicious grass ever. Now look at the picture. Do you see the shepherd down there? And the sheep on the hillside? But where is Cozy? There he is, way up high, leaving everyone behind. What do you think happened? Step by step, Cozy inched away from the others. When no one seemed to notice, she quickly leaped over the top of the hill. It was a little too quick for an awkward lamb, and suddenly she began to tumble, head over tail, tail over head, down, down, down the big hill. Look at the picture. There Cozy is rolling down the hill. Oh no! When Cozy reached the bottom of the hill, she tried to stand. She wobbled, she swayed, she began slipping and sliding on the loose rock that were scattered around. Unable to stop herself, Cozy finally landed wedged between two rocks in a very deep, dark crevice. Remember what we said about a crevice? Oh no, Cozy is in trouble. What's going to happen to Cozy? Let's turn the page. Ma! 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 She cried and cried, but no one could hear the poor little lamb. I can tell you, she was one sad and sorry lammy. She shed baby lamb tears. Lots and lots of them. Cozy tried and tried to climb out of the crevice, and finally, when she had worn herself out, she just fell into a troubled sleep. The sun also rested behind the western hills, and there she is. You can see in the picture, she's stuck in the crevice. That evening, the shepherd began counting the sheep. He did this every night because even though he had 100 sheep, he loved each one. The naughty ones, the silly ones, the old ones, and the young ones. Someone was missing. Right away, the shepherd thought of Cozy, who had been rather unruly that day. Sure enough, Cozy was nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. The shepherd must find Cozy. Oh, yay, shepherd. Let's see what happened. Turn the page. The shepherd knew those hills by heart from roaming them when he was a young boy, helping with his father's sheep. He also knew about the wild animals. And so he began calling to Cozy, not in an angry voice, but in an anxious voice, full of love and concern. Finally, he came to the crevice. Was that some gray wool caught along the edge? Yes, he was sure it was. Looking into the dark hole, he caught a glimpse of the small lamb. Oh. Listening carefully, Cozy could hear footsteps just above her. Oh no, a lion could be close. She curled herself into a woolly gray ball, hoping she would look more like a rock than a lamb. But then, all of a sudden, she felt something grab her around her lamb tummy. In terror, Cozy peeked above her. Oh, what a wonderful surprise. It wasn't the face of a lion she saw, but her very own shepherd's. And he was tugging her out of the crevice with his sturdy crook. She was saved. Yay, shepherd! The shepherd loved her so much he had come looking for her himself. There he is rescuing her. Do you see him pulling her up by the crook? That's the way he could catch her around her tummy and keep her safe. Cozy bleated in joy, "Ma, ma," and the shepherd gently gathered her in his arms. She could feel the shepherd's heart beating through his cloak, and it was the sweetest, most comforting feeling ever. The shepherd didn't just take her back to the flock, however, for her little leg had been badly broken. So he took her home with him to his own simple cottage in the valley. And when the shepherd carried Cozy through the door, the whole family gathered around to see the little lost lamb that had been found. Then came such a merry celebration. Why, it was just like a big party. And Cozy, even though she had been a very naughty lamb, felt like the guest of honor. Oh, look at that picture. There's the shepherd, and there's his wife, and his 3 children. Even the baby is patting little Cozy on the head. That is a merry celebration for Cozy. Cozy was sorry for what she had done. And though we know lambs can't talk, I think the shepherd understood her lammy kisses. He gladly forgave her, laid her on a soft, snug bed by the stove with a warm bowl of milk, and offered her the biggest and best smile ever. Oh, I love that picture of the shepherd holding the lamb. And there you can see the soft blanket and the bowl of warm milk. And now Cozy the lamb is safe, thanks to the shepherd. That was Cozy the Lamb, written by Mary Ellen Tippin. You can find it on Amazon.com. Remember, subscribe, like, and click the bell.
It's storytime with Miss PattyCake.
My friends are here! That's you! I am so glad you came to Miss PattyCake's house today. You know what time it is. Story time! Are you ready for a story? I have one just for us. This is Clever Cub Forgives a Friend, written by Bob Hartman. Are you ready? Here we go. One cloudy morning, Clever Cub sat sulking in a dark corner. And Fred was not there. Papa Bear could see his cub's glum face. "Where is Fred?" asked Papa Bear. Clever Cub grunted and crossed his arms and said, "I do not know, and I do not care." "But you and Fred the bunny are best friends." Papa Bear was surprised. "We're best friends," Clever Cub growled. "That was before he called me a big, bossy bearhead." A big, bossy bearhead. "Oh, why did he say that?" Papa Bear asked. "For no good reason," Clever Cub muttered. He wanted to dig up wild carrots, but I hate wild carrots, so I said no. And then he got grumpy. Have you ever been grumpy? I know. It's no fun to be grumpy. Let's see what happened next. Let's turn the page. I see, Papa Bear nodded. Friends do grump and growl sometimes, but that's what forgiveness is for. Clever Cub grunted again. "Well, I'm not forgiving a carrot-chomping name-caller like Fred." "Well," Papa Bear said, "would you like to hear a Bible story?" "Does it have bunnies or carrots in it?" Clever Cub asked, munching on berries. "No bunnies," Papa Bear promised, "and no carrots either, but there are some grumpy people in it." Let's see. So Papa Bear sat down in the sun and said, "This story is about a young man named Joseph." Oh, that's a nice name. Do you know someone named Joseph? Well, you do? His name comes from the Bible. Joseph had many brothers. Joseph's father, named Jacob, made a beautiful and colorful coat for him. But Jacob didn't make special coats for any of Joseph's brothers. What do you think about that? Clever Cub scratched his nose. He always did that when he was thinking. And he said, "I think his brothers probably wanted that coat." Well, can you see the picture of all the brothers gathered around Joseph with his beautiful coat. Do you think they wanted his coat? Well, let's see what the story tells us. You are right, clever cub, Papa Bear said. They worked hard in the fields, tending the flocks. They wanted special gifts from their father, too. So they became angry and jealous. But something else made them even more angry. What happened, Clever Cub asked. Joseph told his brothers about a dream he had. Hey, have you ever had a dream? And did you remember it in the morning when you woke up? That's what happened to Joseph. He had a dream. In his dream, Joseph was ruling over his whole family. Uh-oh, Clever Cub shouted. I guess they did not like those dreams. Did they call Joseph a big bossy brotherhead? Well, no, Papa Bear said, but they did call him a dreamer. And then they did something much worse. What did they do? Clever Cub asked. Papa Bear said, the brothers plotted to get rid of Joseph. One day, out in the fields, the brothers grabbed Joseph, they tore off his coat, and they dropped him down into a pit, like a big hole in the ground. Clever Cub's eyes grew wide. What? He said. Oh my goodness. Papa Bear looked sad. It's true, he said. Then the brothers sold Joseph as a slave to some traveling men. And when the brothers went home, they made their father think that young Joseph was killed by a wild animal. Clever Cub's eyes grew even bigger. What? He said, that is awful. It was awful. Can you see the picture of Joseph? He's on top of a camel. See the camel? Then what happened next? Yes, it was awful, Papa Bear agreed, but God watched over Joseph. He was taken far from his home to a land called Egypt. Can you say that, Egypt? That's right. He worked very hard, and then many years later, the ruler of Egypt called Pharaoh. Can you say Pharaoh? Pharaoh. Pharaoh had two strange dreams, and he demanded that someone explain these dreams. Well, God helped Joseph, the dreamer, remember, explain the dreams to the ruler. Pharaoh was so impressed that he decided to put Joseph in charge of the whole land of Egypt. Wow, that's amazing, right? Let's see what happened next. What happened to the brothers? Did they ever get in trouble? Clever Cub asked. Well, said Papa, a time came when, for 7 long years, no crops grew. That means there was no food to eat, right? So Joseph's brothers came to the land of Egypt to get food that the ruler had saved. But they didn't know that Joseph was in charge, the very brother they threw in the pit and sold. So you can see the picture of the brothers with their donkeys and they're bowing to Joseph. Clever Cub looked grumpy. Did Joseph tell those mean old brothers to go away, he said? That's a very good question, isn't it? Well, let's see what Joseph did. No, he did not, Papa Bear replied. Joseph knew what forgiveness is for. Forgiveness brings people together, and God is happy when we forgive each other. Clever Cub's eyes grew as big as they could get. What? He said. Can your eyes grow big? What? Joseph forgave his brothers even after all the awful things they did? Papa Bear chuckled and said, yes, God helped him do exactly that. And when his brothers realized that this man in charge of all of Egypt was their own brother, They were scared at first because they knew what they did, remember? But forgiveness helped bring their family together again. Can you see the page? What are they doing? Yes, they are hugging each other, the brothers. So, Clever Cub scratched his nose. He was thinking hard. So, if I forgive Fred, do you think we will be friends again? Papa Bear nodded. Yes, I do. And I think Fred will forgive you for hating carrots, too. All right, said Clever Cub. I will forgive him and say I'm sorry, too. And I guess I could try a tiny bite of carrot. Then off he went to find his friend. The end. What a good story about forgiveness. Maybe you need to forgive someone who is your friend or family today, too. That is Clever Cub Forgives a Friend, written by Bob Hartman, published by David C. Cook. You can find your own copy at davidcook.org. Remember, subscribe, like, and click the bell.
It's storytime with Miss PattyCake.
My friends are here, and that's you. I'm so glad you came to Miss PattyCake's house today. Well, it is story time. Are you ready for a story? Do you like stories? You do? Me too. And I have a very special story today called Clever Cub Gives Thanks to God. Let's find out what Clever Cub is doing. Oh, I love this. Thank you, God, for berries. Mama Bear smiled. Clever Cub scratched his nose. He always did that when he was thinking. Scratched his. Can you scratch your nose? Scratch, 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 scratch. Scratched his nose. He's thinking, why are you thanking God? Asked the curious little bear. Well, because God has given us every good thing, Mama Bear said. What do you want to thank God for? She asked. Clever Cub thought hard. Flowers, he said. Look at that picture. I think he's smelling those flowers. Aren't they pretty? Flowers. Let's see what else. Turn the page. I like flowers too, Mama said. What else are you thankful for? Bunnies, Clever Cub said. Fuzzy, fluffy bunnies, like Fred. Clever Cub scooped up his favorite little bunny friend. Can you see Fred the bunny? And his ears are kind of wiggly. What else do you see on that page? I see a bumblebee. Do you see it too? There it is. Let's see what happened next. But how can we give our thanks to God? Mama asked. Oh, what a good question. Clever Cub's nose crinkled up and one brow bent down. That was his serious thinking face. Do you have a serious thinking face? Should I give Fred to God? Clever Cub asked. Well, no, I think Fred can stay with us. But giving what we have to God is one way to say thanks. Clever Cub hugged Fred tight again. Let me tell you a story, Mama said. Long ago, when God's son, Jesus, lived on the earth, he had many friends. Two of his special friends were named Peter and John. Do you know anyone named Peter or John? Well, those were the names of Jesus' special friends too. So one day, after Jesus had gone back to heaven, Peter and John went to the temple to pray. Imagine it. Just as they were walking up to the big, busy temple courts, guess what happened? Clever Cub said, "Oh, did the temple shake?" No, said Mama. Try again. A flock of sheep got loose? Clever Cub guessed. No, no sheep running wild, Mama said. I'll tell you. Peter and John saw a man being carried by his friends. Clever Cub scratched his nose. On piggyback? He asked. Do you know what it means to be on piggyback? Maybe someone has carried you like that. What did Mama say? She said, no, not exactly. They probably carried him on a cot. Because you see, the man couldn't walk. He had been that way since he was born. Aw, too bad. But where were the man's friends taking him? Clever Cub asked. Was the doctor's office at the temple? No, not exactly, said Mama. No doctors were able to help him back then. His friends were taking him to one of the gates at the temple, to a gate called Beautiful. Can you see the picture of the gate? It looks like it has rainbow colors on it, doesn't it? The gate called Beautiful. Oh, that sounds nice, Clever Cub said. He liked pretty things. Was it really beautiful? Clever Cub imagined a gate painted like a rainbow, just like you see right there. Let's see what happened next. Yes, Mama said. I suppose so, but mostly it was busy. Busy, 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 busy. Lots of people went in and out through that gate, to and from the temple. The man's friends put him right there at the gate so he could ask for money as the people passed by. Day after day, probably for years and years, the man sat at that gate, and day after day, for years and years, the people passed by. Everyone knew this man from the beautiful gate. Can you see the man sitting down? And there's money in a little bag right in front of him, and the people are passing right by him, and he is by the gate. What happened next? Let's see. Well, Clever Cub got excited. I know what happened next, he said. Peter and John passed by, but they loved Jesus, so they gave the man bunches of money. And the man shouted, "Thank you," right? No, not exactly, Mama Bear said. Peter and John did pass by, and they did love Jesus. And the man did ask for money, but they didn't give him any money at all. What? Clever Cub pulled his ear. It's what he always did when he was confused. Can you pull your ear a little? Are you confused? What? No money? Not even a bit? No, said Mama, not a bit. That's not very nice, Clever Cub said. He didn't like this story now. Not a bit. Didn't like this story. I don't know. What do you think? Mama Bear nodded. Well, the man probably thought the same thing at first. But Peter and John had a better gift in mind. A better gift? What could be better than money? Oh, well, let's see. Peter said, I don't have any silver and I don't have any gold, but I'll give you what I do have. In the name of Jesus, stand up and walk. Oh my goodness, that sounds like a wonderful gift, right? What happened? Clever Cub looked up in surprise. He said, well, did he? He did. Mama grinned. Peter helped the man up. The man's feet and ankles suddenly grew strong. And guess what he did next? He said, thank you, Clever Cub asked. No, not exactly. He didn't just say thank you. He went walking and jumping and praising God all around the temple. And that's how he showed he was thankful? Clever Cub asked. Let's see. Exactly, nodded Mama Bear. He thanked God with his words. He thanked God with his praise. But he also thanked God by using the very thing that God had fixed. The very gift he was thankful for, What was it? Clever Cub shouted, "His legs!" And Clever Cub started leaping in the air using his legs too. Exactly so. Now, how can you show God you are thankful? Thankful for the flowers. Clever Cub said, by taking care of the flowers? Exactly. You are a clever little bear, Mama said. You can water the flowers, you can watch them grow, and then you can give flowers to others and watch them smile. Can I watch you smile? Let me see. Can you smile? There's your smile. And here's a picture of little bear. Clever Cub is watering the flowers, and soon he'll give them to someone and watch them smile. And how can you show God you are thankful for Fred, your bunny? By watering him? Clever Cub laughed and leaped into the air again. Well, not exactly, but yes, you can take care of Fred too, and maybe help him wash his feet. Do you think a bunny gets dirty feet sometimes? Well, do you get dirty feet if you run around outside in the woods, on the grass, in the dirt? Yes, you do. All right, Clever Cub said, but he wrinkled his nose. Ew, he thought. Fred's feet were smelly. Ooh, smelly feet. Do you have smelly feet? Then Clever Cub looked at his mama. And I can give thanks for you, he said, by leaping and jumping and dancing with you. And so they did. Mama Bear and Clever Cub and Fred. They went leaping and jumping and dancing and walking and praising God all the way home. The end. What a good story. A true story about a man God touched and gave him a gift better than silver or gold. That was Clever Cub Gives Thanks to God, written by Bob Hartman, published by David C. Cook. You can find your own copy at davidcook.org. Remember, subscribe, like, and click the bell.